Well, back in Washington today, the president signed an executive order designed to stop censorship by the big tech companies online. The order comes 2 days after Twitter placed a fact check on 2 of the president's tweets that criticized universal mail-in voting as conducive to voter fraud. It is conducive to voter fraud, by the way, provably so. People have been convicted, but Twitter called it a lie anyway. So what does the president's order do? Well, it redefines U.S. policy. It says explicitly that the government's position is to protect free speech on major social media platforms. Good for them. Toward that end, the White House will create a tool to let American citizens report cases of big tech bias to the DOJ and the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, for possible investigation. Additionally, the Secretary of Commerce is ordered to petition the FCC to propose new regulations that would expose tech companies to legal action if they remove content or ban users based on deceptive or dishonest grounds, or if they don't give users an adequate ability to contest the censorship they've suffered. All of this is good. The question is it enough? If it comes to fruition, if the order does what it says it will take some time. And of course, it could be instantly reversed and likely will be the second a Democrat takes power and runs the administration. So what we need to fix this isn't an executive order. Again, those are reversible, but laws which are passed by the Congress traditionally, and should be. The Communications Decency Act of 1996 is at the center of this. It's the reason that big tech is as powerful as it now is. Section 230 of that act holds that, we're quoting now, no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. What does that mean? It means that the big tech companies, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, are not considered responsible for the content that appears on them because they're just platforms. They're not publishers. They can't be sued for libel if somebody posts something libelous on their services. They're considered neutral. And that actually makes sense. We're in favor of that if they remain neutral platforms. But they are not neutral platforms. They are publishers, the most powerful publishers in the world. They fact check, as you've heard recently. Twitter routinely purges users simply for having the wrong political views. Facebook has created an oversight board to decide what users are allowed to say. YouTube takes down videos if they question the decrees of local politicians. This is political censorship, and it's taking place with the approval of the United States Congress. So these are monopolies, and they're conducting censorship. They're not neutral platforms putting out all information in the public's best interest. Again, they're publishers curating content in the same way CNN does, MSNBC does, the New York Times does, Fox News does. But unlike any of those news organizations, these companies are immune from lawsuits thanks to Section 230. That is corrupt. It's an unfair business advantage. It empowers a handful of tech monopolies to the detriment of everyone else. It puts a small group of people in control of all human information in English, and it guts our constitutional liberties. So at this point, after years of this, Congress taking payoffs from these people and ignoring it, now's the time to stop it. If these businesses want to be treated as neutral platforms, they must be neutral platforms. Otherwise, they should get their carve-out yanked from them immediately. Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida is a lawmaker pushing to do that, to change Section 230. We're grateful for that. He joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on. So why hasn't this happened already? They're violating the intent of the law.
Well, big tech buys off Congress so as to maintain special privileges that local newspapers and television stations don't enjoy. That's why the president's executive order today is one very important next step, because if we just wait around, big tech will steal this election from Donald Trump and from the American people. In 2016, we won 3 Rust Belt states by a point each, and that was when nobody thought Donald Trump could win. In 2020, we've lost the element of surprise, and so we have to be as aggressive as they are. That means bills like Senator Hawley and I have filed to change Section 230 so as to out these entities as publishers and not the unbiased platforms they are. It means an executive order like the president has issued, but it also means getting the other elements of government to enforce existing law. The Federal Election Commission needs to get off their duff. Twitter is interfering with an election. I heard Democrats say for 3 years that Russia was interfering with an election.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a hoax. We have domestic election interference going on right now. I'll be filing a complaint with the Federal Election Commission tomorrow because of what they have done to President Trump. And as a voter, I have the standing to do it. And President Trump should call for a decision on the Federal Election Commission questions that are before them so that these tech companies get flushed out of the bushes.
Look, Mark Zuckerberg argues, and in this I agree with him, that you don't want to see Section 230 revoked. You want people to have liability from libel suits because then you can have much more information, a free flow of information. So what do you do? So you probably don't want to change that, but you have to make these companies live up to the promise they made to be neutral platforms. How do you force them to do that? How should Congress do that? And again, why haven't they?
Well, again, big tech companies have a tremendous amount of influence over Congress. It's one reason why I don't take their PAC money or anyone else's federal PAC money. But on the question of what has to be done, I agree with you. But if someone is going to assert that they are a non-biased neutral platform, we should not just take that as an article of faith. We actually have to have investigative work done, transparency, disclosures. If we're going to give these folks the privileges that you would give a public utility company, maybe we need to start regulating tech like the public utilities that they are.
That's exactly. That's it. You hate to think it's going to come to that, but I think it's going to have to. They have too much power. Congressman, thanks so much for that. Good to see you.
Thank you.